Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hello, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we are discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 18, Distant Voices. In this episode, Bashir has to escape from his own brain.
I expected his own brain to be a lot more perverted.
Well, yes, I'm glad it wasn't a carefree representation of his psyche, because then this episode would probably be unfit for human consumption. Although I think you could probably say that about anyone.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, what did you think?
I think I like this one.
Think you liked it?
I liked aspects of it a lot, and then other stuff I didn't.
That makes sense, because I feel kind of the same way. I thought the first 15 minutes were really good. The absent station stuff was creepy, super creepy, in fact, 28 Days Later style. Everyone's missing. The weird monsters throwing chairs in the bar that you couldn't make out. All good stuff. Fantastic. But I felt once he met up with his crewmates and did the whole, oh, it's my brains stuff, it kind of got a bit thick on the exposition.
Yeah, that's about where they lost me as well. The empty station stuff was so good. We're so used to seeing the station bustling with activity, and this was a stark contrast. And the lighting was lower, and it was creepy.
The scene where he's walking along the corridor, looking in the rooms for people, and the lights start going out behind him. That,
oh, yeah.
Nightmare fuel. That's really made my skin crawl. Even the signal that they got from outside the station somewhere, which was them speaking around Bashir in the real world, even that idea was creepy, but as soon as it went past that point in the episode, it just got really boring. It's a shame they couldn't keep the momentum going.
Yeah, and another thing that went against what we're used to seeing is when the crew was hostile toward one another, and it really shows you the rapport that these actors have when they are playing these characters. Typically, they felt so off because they're supposed to feel off.
Yeah, you can tell straight away that they're not themselves.
I had a really silly idea of what this episode was going to do from the beginning. So Garrick gifts Bashir a holosuite program, and then Bashir's mind is electrocuted or whatever happened there, and then weird stuff happens. I thought somehow the holosuite program was dumped into his brain, and that's what he was experiencing.
That, whilst completely ridiculous, might actually have been better than the usual fighting your way out of your own brain in a coma trope. Because then it wouldn't have been... the resolution at the end was really just... It gets really ploddy towards the end, really slow and drawn out. So yeah, living through Garrick's weird holosuite program inside your own brain could have been a bit more interesting.
And then at the end, Garrick could say, see, I told you stories are interesting, because they had a little disagreement in the beginning about Cardassian... what were they talking about?
Oh, weird Cardassian literature where everyone's guilty, but who did what is the thing.
Yeah, so you could point out, see, I told you it can be entertaining.
Strange definition of entertaining. Which fits for Garrick. He is not normal. by human or Cardassian standards.
He's not even normal in Bashir's brain.
He was the one that was most like his true character.
Which makes him more unsettling. He can pierce even your subconscious. I didn't like when the tricorder showed the crewmates as not living. Why would that happen? Why would his brain know they aren't real?
Yeah, because they needed to explain it to the audience. That's where it gets so clunky. There's a huge long scene where he says, "Oh, you represent my doubt and you represent something else." Blah, blah, blah. Just, it's a massive case of show, don't tell. They just sat and explained everything from the ground up. So yeah, they had to use a tricorder to show, yes, I'm definitely right, because this thing, which is also a figment of my imagination, according to my own theory, is also confirming it. Circular reasoning.
I'd like to point out this is the second episode in a row we see a dead O'Brien. Or a dead facsimile of O'Brien.
Yeah, that guy can't stay alive through an episode.
He can't even catch a break as a mental manifestation of someone else.
Oh, I don't get it. If O'Brien dies, does his doubt die? Or is his doubt numbed?
That's how it should work, but that's not what happened.
That's what I thought, because I have no memory of this episode. It's not a memorable one. I'll just put that out there. It would have been really interesting if he had had to kill off the parts of his personality that would stop him from getting through this.
Oh yeah, if they represented doubts and fears that were holding him back and he had to murder O'Brien and others.
But yeah, keep Dax alive. That could have been grim.
That's maybe too grim for this show.
Yeah, that's there are other shows, other sci-fi shows for that. One aspect of this show is something I really dislike, and that's how he was getting older as the episode progressed.
Why do you dislike that?
Well, it's been done. Certainly, it's been done on Star Trek a few times and on other shows. And whilst it's sort of clever or whatnot, it's kind of annoying because it means by the latter half of the episode, they'll be really old and slow.
You don't want to see Bashir hobble around?
Well, it's good to see him act that because he actually did it really well, and the makeup was super impressive for old person makeup. That was way better than usual TV quality old person makeup. But yeah, it just slows the pace down a lot. And it's got to slow the pace down, because if they don't slow the pace down, you're not demonstrating that the person has aged. So I just don't like that trope, because it just makes things drag.
Yeah, by design, it has to drag.
Yeah, and then he gets to Ops, and guess what? It starts really dragging as he walks slowly between wall panels and gets hit with tennis balls, which was kind of funny.
The progressive aging didn't cause Bashir to reflect or anything about the aging process and the eternal concern of humans, of mortality and aging. He talks about that stuff in the beginning, but then it's all about being inside his brain, and he doesn't really notice or comment on his current state or anything like that, or even after. I mean, he has a throwaway line about, oh, being 30 is not that bad. I wanted more.
Yeah, it seems odd that they put all that stuff about aging in it, but he didn't really seem to gain anything other than, oh, 30 is not that bad, which is just a comedy line. It's a joke.
Yeah.
So he just has a little laugh about it and has not improved as a character. I have a few things I'd like to criticize.
Go ahead.
So, the controlled substances in sickbay are apparently not secured, particularly.
Nope, they are not. Unless, yeah, they aren't. I was trying to come up with something.
Yeah, it makes no sense. They have security fields that no one can get through. So it seems like anything that was controlled would just be behind one of them, and that would be it, pretty secure. And in case you're going to say, well, maybe they don't want to run them all the time, in this very episode, Bashir backs into a lift that wasn't ready, and he hits a field. So they're running on all the lifts, presumably. You would think they would put them around the incredibly dangerous substances that some crazy guy wants to obtain.
Nah.
They didn't even lock the doors to sickbay.
I don't know how it is over there, but in America, if you go to a pharmacy, you could just hop the counter and then all of the drugs are out in the open.
It's slightly different over here. They have some of the pharmaceuticals behind the counter, but if it's anything particularly nice, like your methadone or something, it'll be in a separate locked room.
I may be mistaken, but I think they're all out in the open over here.
Okay, well, obviously that's the approach they've taken in the Federation.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, it's not like
this.
A crazy guy will just walk in and swipe everything. Surprised he searched through it all and didn't just swipe everything into a big sack and then leave.
That's not the scary thing to do. He had to keep the presentation of a scary man. Scary alien man thing.
He had to talk very scary.
And he had scary eyes and scary thorns on his scary face.
His makeup was good. He looked like a spooky man.
I don't like how it's always the bad guy looks like a bad guy. Why can't the bad guy... Well, not always, but here it's a very bad-looking man ends up being a very bad man.
Yeah, and it's very Disney.
Yeah.
I actually thought halfway through, maybe the Lethian in his mind is actually a good guy. They should have done that. That would have been much cleverer.
Yeah, play against expectations.
Well, they kind of did, because Garrick was leading him around, but Garrick was the Lethian. It would be nice if we just had to actually find the Lethian and be like, hey, what you doing? Stop it. You know what would also have helped with this episode? Whilst I'm on the point of criticizing it, if they had not shown the scene in the teaser where he goes to medbay and gets attacked by the Lethian.
Right, because then we would be thrown off what was happening.
Yeah, it would be a bit bold for Star Trek. They tend not to do confusing narratives. But that would have been cool if he'd just been having lunch with Garrick and then after the title he just wakes up in medbay and everything's trashed.
They don't seem to show enough trust in the audience to do anything like that.
It's a shame.
I think this is the first time an episode features Garrick, and I don't like it a whole lot.
Yeah, well, I said it was forgettable, and for an episode that has Garrick in it to be forgettable, it has to have done a few things wrong.
Well, we don't really get Garrick. It's Bashir's brain version of Garrick.
It's still Garrick. He's still got that voice. Here's something I wrote down. It's unbelievably minor, but I'm going to say it anyway. Bashir finds a broken replicator, and it's leaking tea from the top of it.
Yeah.
That's not how replicators work. That's how vending machines work nowadays.
His brain forgot how replicators work.
And mapped them onto centuries-old technology.
Yeah.
Well, that should have been a dead giveaway.
See, before he went to the coma, he was studying 21st century technology, and he was right at the point of coffee and espresso machines.
Surprised he didn't look at it and say, "What? Who the hell filled a replicator full of tea? It's going to wreck it." It's odd that tennis is still around, yet baseball disappeared, when I think baseball is probably about as popular as tennis, more or less.
Well, see, in the 21st century, there was this massive shift in viewership. People preferred sports that were one-on-one. They were more exciting to watch for people for some reason, and they gave up on sports with teams. So tennis flourished and baseball died out.
I would say that is the most tenuous explanation, but I'm actually having trouble thinking of a time when they've played a team sport.
Because everyone is so busy doing space things that the only way to organize a space sport is one-on-one.
Oh no, they played a team sport in Next Gen. Worf and his chums played something. They had special suits. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh man,
So,
there goes that.
Wrong.
The team game in Next Generation was called Parisis Squares, a 4 versus 4 athletic sport played in the holodeck.
That was the sole surviving team sport.
Okay, it's like a futuristic one though.
So there was a vocal minority who really wanted team sports to reemerge, and they created a new team sport.
Oh, there's no reason why baseball would die out, but tennis would still be around. It's just a stupid thing they said about baseball once, and they're stuck with. But I will add that Garrick did a nice little flick up with the tennis ball.
Oh yeah, with his foot?
Yeah, he's got some tennis skills.
I can't think of many skills that transfer from being a spy and tailoring that would benefit you in tennis.
It's Garrick. He's good at everything. Or it's Mind Garrick. Bashir thinks Garrick is good at everything, so he is.
Ah, yeah.
He's not good enough to be him at tennis, though.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Ego getting in the way. Which was not represented in his mind. Well, Dax represented his confidence, but ego is an abundance of confidence. So maybe a giant Dax? I don't know.
Bashir represented the ego.
Okay.
Hey, do you have a quote?
I do. Give the people what they want and they'll show up in droves. Which I don't agree with.
Yeah, people don't have any idea what they want.
Exactly.
Okay, so sometimes you'll ask someone what they want and they'll tell you, and they'll be right, but plenty of times people will demand things that will ultimately leave them unsatisfied, or you'll give them something and they'll hate it, and then a while later they'll say, actually, that was great. People really aren't that good at knowing what they want in general.
Which makes it so weird that Quark would say that he should know better. Or was that Mind Quark? I can't remember. I think it was Mind Quark.
It was Mind Quark.
So Bashir doesn't know about proper demand.
Which makes sense, he's not a businessman.
Yeah.
So this episode did not really give us what we wanted, and we're not really going to it in droves. Is that right?
Yeah. So, well, the quote's wrong anyway, so it doesn't matter whether we match it.
Okay.
This is not an episode for which people will show up in droves.
Well, it's true. They tried to do something, and some bits were good. Ultimately, I think this one is a miss.
So a fault?
Yes.
Because tennis?
Oh, are we mixing baseball and tennis now?
Yep.
Okay, 15 love, strike 3. 180. On to the next episode.
All right.
Okay.